This is Brownie's Podcast!
Yes! Welcome to Brownie's Podcast. My God, what a round of football. Later on the show, we're going to speak to a dirty, dirty dog who is one of the more famous supporters of the Melbourne Football Club. And while they were just 20 points down, left the MCG because their heart wasn't in supporting their team.
He's a sellout.
He's a tiny dick sellout, and we'll speak to him later in the podcast, and we'll tell you who it is. You saw Bucks on the weekend.
Saw Bucks on the weekend. He's all pumped for his game on Sunday, so it's looming up, isn't it? This is the week. And
Shit.
I've just left the couch meeting
Yeah.
with Gary and Bucks.
How is Gary?
And he's good. He
Yes.
always, I'll tell you what he loves. He loves a tracky dack
Tracky Dack.
with no socks and runners on.
Hot.
But he likes the tracky dacks pulled up high.
Putrid.
Yeah, wouldn't that stink?
Well,
No socks?
Or does he might have those little
Inners.
little socklets.
Bunions.
Socklets.
I'm going to have to ask him whether he's got those little
He
inners.
wouldn't. I don't reckon he'd have
Yeah.
the inners.
And then he just puts the feet up on the table during the couch, man. A real alpha move early, just sets the tone. Anyway, we'll have a chat. But yeah, Bucks had to rush off. I said, what are you rushing off for? Because I wanted to get a bit of audio for our podcast. Because he's one of our members in the podcast when Brown Dog doesn't
wow.
show up.
Where's Bucks?
We've got a couple coming up, actually, because I'm off to Bali next week. So
Oh, yeah, look out.
hopefully Brodie's passed that on.
Well, Bucks said that he had to rush off to do a press conference for his game on Sunday. He's doing a press conference to play for Neil Madana as part of the Carlton draft. I've never heard so much tripe in all my life.
You actually had a big dinner with some big hitters. We'll talk about that later. Because it wasn't just you and Bucks. There were three other big names around this Italian...
A couple of stragglers.
Shit.
And then another... There was another... I would say Muzz. I'm just going to leave it at Muzz. Muzz was sort of one out, it's fair to say, when it comes to notoriety.
Real quick, Beck, our social media genius, did half a marathon on the weekend. What was your time?
It's 2:30. So
That's
2 hours,
big.
30 minutes.
Bang.
That's
huge.
big. Quick. That's big. Did Campbell vape over the weekend? I trusted he
Surely
didn't.
not.
I trusted he didn't because he's a smart man and clearly not a moron. But round 18, my God, what a round of football. Seems like a year ago, but holy shit, D's Lions at the G. Too many goals to even mention, too many moments. Could Petrarca take the Brownlow off Dacos, realistically?
Nah, but Dacos got another 3 votes on the weekend. I know Track was good. His foray forward has been unbelievable. 8 goals in the last 2 weeks.
I think Dacos already won the Brownlow.
Yep.
No, it's going to be a flat ending tonight. Gil McLaughlin will be speed reading the last 5 rounds.
Yes, I love when Gil just, I have to do this, so let's just make it quick.
Yeah, make it real quick.
Hey,
Strike was awesome.
Woe Woden kicked that sick goal from the boundary, and I just feel like BT missed an opportunity to go nuts, go mental with it, like wowee, whoa, you know?
Yeah, he did too.
I wanted that.
We should have got BT on the phone to talk about that. But Taj Woden, I've seen him grow up that kid because we're close to the Woden family. Kylie's close to his partner D. They got great kids, so they used to come down to our farm down in Queensland.
Does
a
Taj
little farm.
weigh his food like his old man used to?
I'm not sure. He's a professional kid and he was always competitive. I saw a few tantrums out in the backyard a few times, but he was always a talent, whether it be cricket, he's a good cricketer, or football as well. It's just how good's father-son.
Yep.
I know I was a father-son coming through, but it's great to see the heritage when a father-son comes through and does well for the footy club.
Right on.
The supporters give it a little bit of extra kick, don't they?
The
They love
romance.
thinking it'd be the romance of it all. I love it.
Wowee, Woe Woden, that would have been amazing, BT.
Wow.
Sake, use your head, Brian.
Yeah.
You're that young kid from Brizzy, Fletcher, that intercept,
Jasper
and
Fletcher.
just did a U-turn, ran back and kicked a goal. Thanks for coming.
Another father-son. Geez, bred in the purple. He is. His mother, life member in the WNBL.
Oh,
absolute
blue blood.
star. Yeah, blue
shit.
blood. So I think he gets the athleticism from her. Not so much Fletch. Fletch was a stocky little sort of, he's like a wombat.
It's one of the greatest goddamn games of football I've ever seen. How did you go through with it all, John?
I was flat. I was flat. You know, Ryan Lester, Froggy had to kick that goal halfway through the last quarter. Lions 5 goals up. And to all these Melbourne supporters,
Yes.
go and get stuffed.
Why?
Because you've given up. I've watched that game back.
People
You
leaving?
were flat as pancakes. People leaving for the exits. It was unbelievable. So don't give me loyalty.
Correct.
And all this bullshit. And we want to see and support our team at the MCG and win a grand final at the MCG.
Correct.
They had sold out.
Exactly.
Until it just got turned on its head. Malcolm was magnificent late, as was Gorn and Petrarca.
The hoodoo of the MCG for the Lions continues to sizzle away.
I would argue that's gone now.
No, it's not gone because they
rocked
have
up.
a big
I'm
L.
with you, Dino.
It's gone.
There was a big L at the end of the
But they've proven they can play there, Campbell.
They've proved they can play there, but they haven't proven that they can win there.
All right, you got a point.
No, they beat Melbourne last year in the final.
That's the only time.
I actually think they played some really good football. They played the MCG as well as they've played it. I think there's a lot of positives. And, I reckon Chris Fagan thought that in the post-match. It's the calmest I've seen because I thought, oh, look out, the cocker will be bristling. The MCG questions. But how calm he was. He goes, oh, yeah, the hoodoo continues and all that. And I think that's a big step for Fags and the club. And I think they'll take a lot of learnings out of that game and I think they'll come back better.
And he was calm because they rocked up.
They did.
They rocked up.
Well, it's a funny game, wasn't it? Melbourne's kicked the first 4.
It was unbelievable.
And the first 5 or 10 minutes, you're going, what the is Brisbane doing?
And then Brisbane took them apart.
And they lit up, didn't they? Got some exciting kids. Wilmot there, Ashcroft and Fletcher was spoken about.
The Hipwood thing at the end, anything in that?
No, it wasn't
unlucky.
a mark. It wasn't a mark.
No chance, eh?
No, it came off the defender's forearm.
Still a wild way to end the game.
Would have been good, though. Just to have a shot after the siren would have been good to see. So, anyway, it was a great game of footy. Don't you love when both teams score over 100 points?
Yes,
in the
man.
middle of winter.
Yes.
It's great to see. Footy's been awesome this year.
You guys know when you're commentating and the crowd mic just picks shit up clearly?
Yeah.
It's good.
When you were talking during the Collingwood-Freo game, there's this Viking-sounding guy that says Khan Mackies, and I could hear him so...
Really?
Yeah, have a listen.
You can't allow Collingwood to continually be able to go out the back, be able to feed out the back with these missed tackles. So have a look at these.
Can you fucking believe that? Dog, he's like a Viking that's come up with...
Play that again.
That's unbelievable.
You can't allow Collingwood to continually be able to go out the back, be able to feed out the back with these.
Hey, Internet, where's the camera? Internet, if you know the Khan Maggies guy, get him to get in touch with us. What a voice!
Good voice.
It's an amazing voice.
Does
that stand up for the 4 quarters, though?
I don't know.
Look, I would argue that'd be tough to get through the full 2 hours.
That's Winnie Reds, that's beer, maybe even Bundy.
Scotch,
probably.
Scotch late in the night. Don't worry about that. Probably not even on the rocks.
Mate,
That's
one
a neat
more.
Scotch.
One more.
You can't allow Collingwood to continually be able to go out the back, be able to feed out the back with these missed tackles.
The best thing is I'm actually talking at the time because that gives you a level of I've got a fair bit of timber in my voice. And he just takes it to another level.
God, Beck, we're going to get the internet to find this guy, okay? Because I'd love it. Imagine if he was our show announcer. Imagine him saying this is Brownie's podcast with that timbre in his voice.
I think you're right because remember when we were doing the Brekkie show, Dino, and we found Jimmy Barnes to do our show opener.
Yes.
That just happened organically, didn't
yes.
it?
It's probably easier to find Jimmy Barnes and some
Khan Maggies
random at the footies.
Well, he wouldn't be hard to find.
No
He'd
shit.
be a notable supporter.
If anyone sat in that section, they'd know who that guy
You reckon?
is. Absolutely.
Well, it must have been. So, yeah, I wonder where the ground effects mics are. Like, was that close to the commentary box? Because commentary box sits high at the MCG. There's no actual seats around it. And it definitely wouldn't have been coming from the members. That level 3's a hard section getting in the members.
I just have faith that we in today's day and age with technology, Beck, are you confident this guy could be found?
We can search him. TikTok's got it. TikTok's got it.
TikTok can't even find that chick that stormed off the plane saying that there was a ghost or someone down the back of a
that
flight.
crazy
Remember
woman.
the crazy woman?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh, so if you know this guy, one more time.
You can't allow Collingwood to continually be able to go out the back, be able to feed out the back with these missed tackles. So have a look at these.
Imagine if you were going to war and he was on the front line. I'm following him.
Yeah, old school. You know, they used to have the big horn, the big megaphone. Yeah, that was good. Good pickup, Dino.
Hey, more often than not, when a coach gets a bullet right between the eyes, the team goes out and wins. Now, I really feel sorry for the coach every time this happens.
Yeah.
It's like they never existed. It's like a big you. Do you reckon they feel bad when this happens, Stewie Jew?
You just move straight on as a player. Like you feel bad in the week that it's evolved, and then you're just down to business, and you're out there to impress the new coach now. And the Suns were pretty good.
It does sharpen the group up, though, doesn't
No
it?
doubt. No
They
doubt.
don't necessarily win the game every time, but it sharpens the group up. That you do get a response, you tend to.
And they played a St Kilda side that is well and truly on the decline.
Geez, Ross the boss was brutal in the
They've
post-match
just
assessment.
lost all
Nice.
forward structure. They've got some injuries. They're a spluttering mess at the minute.
I'm gonna ask you a
Spluttering
question.
mess.
It was a stronger language I've heard from a press conference. Rossi he's very smart, the words that he uses, but he's virtually pointing to the midfield saying, our midfield's not good enough. Now, outside of Jack Sinclair, who would be in that midfield in their next premiership team?
Jack Steele.
Jack Steele, right there on the edge. I know he's the captain.
I think Windhager can play, but he's still a young kid.
Yeah.
But you're right. They lack a bit of depth through that middle.
Ross, Gresham, Crouch. I'm just not sure they're going to be there. So I think there's going to be a bit of change there at St Kilda. And I think they know they need to improve their midfield to be able to compete with the best.
Ross has done enough, though, with that start to the year for them no one to look at Ross.
I prefer to start the year poorly and finish strongly because that's what all the people in the media and the supporters
They could miss the finals now.
You could start 8-0, and if you miss the finals...
I think they will miss the finals.
That's wild!
Yeah, same as remarkably similar to their record last year. They started 8-3 under Brett Ratton. Then Rats was gone by the end of the year. They missed finals. So a lot of people are pointing to that.
Their supporters will be going crazy. That's infuriating.
But it was a false
economy. They're used to it, though, the Saints supporters.
False economy early, the way they were playing. And teams have been able to go to work on them now. There's, 17 rounds in.
Yes.
Teams the last few weeks, Dino, they've won 4 out of the last 5 against St Kilda, been able to pick them apart.
We've got to start taking these people seriously, Campbell. Admit it. Admit it.
Going better.
What? They just flogged Port Adelaide.
Yeah, no, hang on, but Port Adelaide had some significant outs. You take Horn Francis, Charlie Dixon, Trent McKenzie, Junior Rioli. There was a couple of other players out as well.
So you reckon Port just dropped one?
They were ripe for the pickings. Under the roof at Marvel. Yeah, I think, and they'd won 12 or 13 straight. So
13 straight.
They were due to lose one.
Give Carlton more credit.
I will, but...
Defensively, they've been sliding, Port Adelaide. They've been giving up a lot of scores. They've won a lot of games at Marvel in a row, Port, so they weren't certainly intimidated by that venue. But they've got the spinnaker up.
Good on Vossi.
Yeah, absolutely. The tails are up, no question about it. Their midfield's fine. Doesn't it help when your best players are playing good footy? Now, I know everyone will talk about
Motlop
Jack
and
Silvani and Motlop and all that sort of stuff, but it goes a long way to win the game of footy when your best 5 or 6 players are actually playing like your best 5 or 6 players.
Curnow was best on ground.
Oh, boy.
Cripps has been good. Walsh is back
Doherty
in the form.
was good.
Wiedering's been outstanding the last 6
Mackay
weeks.
Cook for the year.
So
Yeah, he might be back for finals.
this is my prediction, right? Charlie Curnow's leading the Coleman medal race by 1 from Taylor Walker.
Yep.
They play the West Coast Eagles under the roof again at Marvel this weekend, right?
Yep.
He went over to Perth and kicked, what did he kick, 8 goals or something earlier in the year against the Eagles?
Yep.
He could put the Coleman medal race to bed this weekend.
I disagree.
McGovern
and Brass.
They're back. Both of them are back.
Yeah, so I just think it'd be hard for him to kick a bag, but he'll probably play an important role if he can just at least get the ball to ground. Those little nipsies for Carlton are looking really dangerous.
5?
Like you
Can he kick
mentioned,
5? No.
Well, he could, but geez, it'd be a big effort against that defence.
And Campbell, even though you said that, the truth of the matter is...
We're not always going to get it right.
You know? It doesn't matter.
I reckon we'll get it right.
Hey, what about that Friday night game against Collingwood next week? So the week after.
The $1 million game.
It could be as big as the round 23 game last year.
It'll be big for the bloke who's had $1 million on it.
There's one coming.
It is too.
Holy shit.
Next Friday
Next
night.
one, right.
Because it's funny because Collingwood play in bursts a bit. Yeah, they flex the muscles. They're a bit like a friend of mine who's connected to the Brisbane Lions during our premiership run. He said they're
Craig
playing,
Lambert.
No, it wasn't Lambo's. Someone else. He said they're playing a bit like you boys were in the early 2000s, where you're just playing fits and spurts. You just flex. You flex for a quarter, blow a team away, and then you just play decent footy for the rest of the game. They kicked 10 goals to 2 in that second quarter against Fremantle. That's how Collingwood play a bit at the moment. You've got to be a bit careful when you're playing like that. That's why they're gettable when Carlton comes up against them next week.
I came up with an idea a few years ago, and I knew it never had legs, but I'm gonna say it now, right?
Because a business idea?
Well, no, it's more about some content, some vision, right? I know that a lot of punters, especially big punters, like to keep things under wraps. Anonymity is quite big.
Yep.
I would love to have vision of the whole 4 quarters on the guy that's had $1 million on the Magpies, because you could cut up his emotional journey, highs when they kick goals, lows when they drop marks and concede goals, umpiring decisions, right? Could you imagine if it's a cliffhanger down to the last minute of the game, and he's had a bit like that, the sort of response you'd get from the guy if you're looking at him? So my vision was like Gogglebox of punters
He might be.
that are gambling more than they can afford to lose, right?
I love that.
And you
It's
get
a great
and
concept.
you get vision of someone who's had their last dollar on something and you watch it.
So
and you ride with them.
Gogglebox punters, we're calling it. That's unbelievable.
You know, too.
That's unbelievable.
Tell you, on that Gogglebox couching, stick the Viking Collingwood supporter beside him. Go on the Magpies!
You can't allow Collingwood to continually be able to go out the back. Be able to
Don't
feed
you
out
reckon
the back
that's an
of these
unbelievable concept?
Right, it'd be sensational.
This
It could
round-
never get up though because of obviously gamble responsibly and all that sort of stuff.
This round coming up, there's only one game that doesn't matter, mean anything, and that is Freo Sydney. Doesn't matter what happens. Every other game has intensely big stakes on it.
It sort of does matter, the Freo Sydney game,
How?
because both of them are still in the hunt.
Well, Sydney
Max.
definitely, yeah, because they've got good percentage.
Sydney
that
are
was
in
a
the
big
mix.
win against the Western Bulldogs.
You just said we couldn't take the bullet out of their head last week.
It's the bullet's still there, but in terms of it's 14th versus 15th, and they're only 2 games out of the 8.
All right, then. That means every game this round coming up is an absolute cracker.
Yeah, absolutely it is. So I'm looking forward to how Adelaide bounce back because now all of a sudden they look like a top 4 potential team. Now they've dropped out of the top 8. They play Melbourne at the MCG on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
How's this for a Sunday for Rory Sloane?
Yes.
Hopefully he goes out and plays well on Sunday. But earlier on in the morning, both Rory and myself are interviewing Eddie Vedder on TV.
What the
Hey,
fuck?
really?
Oh, for EB.
For EB. Yeah, Eddie said, no worries.
Where at?
I'll do it. We're going to do the satellite thing cross into
What,
Eddie Vedder's
man?
place. Eddie's over in Seattle. And then me and Rory are going to interview him for the EB game in 2 or 3 weeks' time against the Gold Coast Suns. EB's that horrible skin condition, which I've been ambassador for a long time. Eddie's the global ambassador. So me and Rory get to interview him. And, mate, he's an absolute beauty.
Yeah,
of a
you
bloke.
can't find a better man.
Well done. Well done.
So our Sundays, Raw's,
That's cool.
he interviews Eddie and goes and plays Melbourne at the G. I interview Eddie and go and watch Bucks dominate at Neil Madanum on
Yes,
the bus.
what a
on
day.
Sunday. What a day.
Me and Brownie once when we were idiots.
I've still got
back
to
in-
take time off to get on that bus, boys. I haven't actually run that past.
Bullshit.
Well, who's playing who in the big VFL clash?
Back in the past when we weren't smart and we used to smoke darts,
Yeah.
Jonathan and I and Eddie Vedder's wife,
Jill.
Jill, we smoked a pack of Camels outside a hotel in New York.
Did that?
That's living,
No doubt.
apart from the darts.
You know how much those darts cost? $6.50.
Competitive. Camels.
We got it from the kiosk just outside the function.
Now, I'm going to end this round review with a warning to all football fans out there. If your team is in the last slot of the round, you could be innocently sitting there watching the telly, and without any warning whatsoever, they sneak the bounce on. Now, let me explain that. What happens is they don't play the title. Chief just starts talking over the footage, and then all of a sudden you're in bounce.
He does too.
Hey, they trick you into watching bounce.
And they're tricked, absolutely.
And then they get the ratings.
Next minute they've got a YouTube. Yeah, they put a quick YouTube video on and Gazy throws to it, and you go, oh shit, I better watch this, you know?
Yeah,
This
but-
lad falling off a roof or something and breaking his neck.
That's
Before
how they
you know-
hypnotise you.
Mate, before you know it, you're watching Gazy watching Fail Army videos, calling everyone a flog, and it was against your will. These mother.
Is a good point.
Thank you, John.
So you reckon that's skewing the
It's
numbers?
sorcery.
Absolutely, because Chief will talk about what the vision is on the thing, and then go, "Oh, by the way, you're watching bounce."
Oh, wow, yes, you're onto something there, Dino. Manipulation of the numbers.
It's a warning to all. Ads back in a second.
This is Brownie's Podcast.
Welcome back to Brownie's Podcast. Well, as a footy fan, all you ask from your team is that they put everything into the game, and I guess as a fan, you could do the same as well. Well, that's not what happened at the MCG on Friday night, as we call someone disgraceful, Jonathan.
Dino.
And we're joined on the podcast by stupid, tiny dick idiot Brodie Grundy. Morning.
Oh, it's Jonathan Brown. I thought it'd be Dino. This is even better.
Now, how are you, great man? Now,
Oh dear.
we're so interested in, obviously, Arnie Donna fame,
Oh, yeah.
unbelievable sketch comedy,
Yes.
and everything else. But, mate, I'm more interested in your performance.
He's one of the most famous Melbourne supporters. You got him, you got Titus,
Yeah,
you got
yeah.
Hamish, you got a few others.
Yeah, that's
Ryan
it.
Shelton.
Schultz.
Are you number one when it comes to Melbourne supporter stardom?
Not anymore, mate. I've had an absolute shocker, and that's why I'm glad that I got the call up today, because I need to apologise to as big an audience as possible.
Yeah. Now, what happened? Friday night, big win, Melbourne, so no doubt you would have been in the stands celebrating hard. You would have thrown the cheese board in the air when Melksham kicked that last goal to put you over the line.
Browny, you're a good salt of the earth boy from Woodford, Warrnambool, aren't you? You understand?
Yes.
A commute's a hard thing.
Woodford.
Commute's a hard thing to do.
He's got it precise.
Precise.
No, I remember the one time we've met Brownie. I remember my partner is from around the corner from where he grew up. You know, just good stock.
That's right.
But anyway, I was pretty upset with the way that we got up 30 points and then we conceded the same amount when we were down with 6 minutes left by, I think, about 24 points. Mm-hmm. And I made the mistake of looking at my phone, getting Google Maps out and just looking at the next train to depart. Now I'm on a train line called the Mernda line, right? Yeah. And you salt of the earth. I'm a working class type. I'm not this ex-footballer, la-di-da, latte sipping situation like you guys down there. Sure. And I saw that the train was leaving in 7 minutes, and I also saw that there was a thing called bus replacements. Now, what a bus replacement is the worst possible thing that can happen to a person.
Tell us why.
So I made the call to duck out 20 points, and it turned out to be the worst mistake of my life. And yes, I've had a very good life, but it's the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
Campbell Brown.
The shades of Mark Wahlberg, 2017 Super Bowl, Patriots versus Atlanta.
That's right.
Hawks, and 28-3 down halfway to the third. The boy from Boston, Mark Wahlberg, just walks out, leaves, and they come back and win in overtime. Yeah. That's very similar to what you did on Friday night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he was getting on a bus replacement to Reservoir this Friday.
He had the private plane back to Boston.
Broden will also tell you, I was renovating my house. We've all got houses, mate. We all renovate. Yeah. But
I was cutting in. Have you guys ever cut in?
No.
Yeah, cutting in painting.
Yeah, you got to cut in the corners. You can't just roll over it, Dino. You got to get right in the corners. I know that now.
I'd like to get someone to do that for me, Broden.
Broden, but you weren't even that far back. That's the thing. And you've missed one of the 1-point wins happen under 10 times in your life as a fan.
Yeah, that's right. But I'm not a West Coast fan, Dino. I'm seeing wins every week, mate. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. Hey, when did you hear the first Raw? When did you hear the first Raw, mate? Because, you know, often when you make that fatal decision, and at the time you don't think it's going to be fatal, you make that decision.
You think you're smart.
And you hear the roar, and you think, what was that roar for?
This is bad for me. But I was in Victoria Park. That's how quickly I left. And I was on a train carriage with about 12 other Melbourne fans, and we're all watching on our phone. And as Melbourne kicked that goal, we all looked up from our phone, looked at each other, and went, "What have we done?" Oh my God! All of us on the train.
Well, Broden, I applaud your bravery for coming out and admitting that you did a real dog thing. I'm low. I'm very low, and I promise I will never leave a game early again. Please don't tell Max Scorn. I will genuinely be just. Don't tell him, please.
All right. Now, I've been fond of catching the train from time to time after a game. Yeah. The last time, absolutely. The last time I did it though, after a game, was after a Collingwood win, and I jumped on packed in because they pack them in like sardines after the footy, don't they, on the train?
Oh yeah.
And I could not move, and the Collingwood supporters broke into song.
Oh. Sickening. Yeah.
Did you, Melbourne supporters, not that there would have been as many as Collingwood supporters, did you break into song just to make up for the fact that you deserted your team?
No, we cracked out the cheese boards though, and just like, you know, that's the thing about Melbourne fans. We can get a nice little situation going anywhere. So the Connex or whatever they're called now is, you know, brie was flowing like wine, which was also there.
Broden, again, your bravery should be applauded, and thanks for realising that you up real hard. And
yes, I up very, very hard.
Yeah, but life can only get better now. That's the other positive.
Yeah, and thank you so much for having me on. I've never met Campbell Brown. Can I just say very quickly, that tweet the other day where I think you called out someone and someone replied, and you belted Stephen May, and then your reply was just right, yes, I did. That's the best response I've ever seen on a tweet ever.
I've just got to be honest. You can't run away from the sins of the past.
Yeah, that's right. Well done.
All right, Brodie, love you very much. See you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Pleasure, guys. See you later.
Thanks, mate.
Bye.
Jesus. Anything under 30 points, your team can come back.
Well, he left at 20 points too. Like, not the 26-point mark, Jay. That's a big call to make. It's a flattening feeling when you leave early and then your team comes good and you miss one of the great finishes of all time.
Chilling.
The only time it's happened to me was I left a Big Bash game early. It was Renegade Stars, and we weren't engrossed in T20 like we are now. And I took off early, and it went to a super over and was one of the great finishes of all time. But again, I didn't really give a stuff. You know what I mean? I wasn't invested in either side. So I feel like I didn't miss much.
I remember the miracle on grass when Ash McGrath kicked that goal after the siren. We were 50 points down. I think early in the last quarter. And
you didn't leave early, did you? You were playing.
Well, the stat sheet looked like I did. But, mate, you looked around and half the crowd had gone. Yeah. The crowd had gone and they'd made the dash, absolutely. So, and when you pass out, that's it. You can't get back in. Yeah. You can't rush back in when you realise.
There'll never be a more exciting coast-to-coast, quicker coast-to-coast in history.
Yeah, that was amazing. Simon Black was unbelievable. It was a great kick. On the back of that,
Saturday night, John. Saturday night, Pangy told me that you had quite a high-profile dinner.
Yes, we did, actually. And it sort of just came about out of nowhere. We met after the footy, so I said to Bucks, we'll go and have a couple of beers, and we went there and we met at Centenove. So I got there early. I was first there.
Yes.
It's a beautiful Italian restaurant in Kew.
Yeah.
Okay. So I walked in and I got a little bit of attention from the waiters and the crowd. Yes. I thought, look out, the big fella's here. Just straight up, where's my seat? And they said, you're upstairs, you're the first here. I thought, oh, there you go. And I said, my party will be here with me soon. So I went and sat upstairs. Well, obviously then Nathan Buckley got a bit of attention when he walked past, got a couple of looks. Then all of a sudden, Justin Lepage in his full Collingwood tracksuit.
Did he leave?
he wouldn't have got much attention, Lepage, would he?
It was a big head. Hey, hard to miss that big head.
Hey,
just
did he
Frank the Tank?
Did he leave his neck in the car or did he take it with him?
No, the neck was in the car. No neck. So he made his way up there, and I thought, look, the good thing about that, he knew he had to drive back to Mount Eliza, so there was going to be. Was it a good thing or a bad thing? But I knew Frank the Tank wasn't going to be turning up.
Can I ask why he was still in clubby shoes? Like, surely he changes his polo top and that in the car. You know you're going out for dinner.
It's not hard.
You take another T-shirt.
Mate, if you're one of the premier assistant coaches of the top team in the competition, and it's Collingwood, you wear that proudly.
That's actually a good point.
You wear that proudly. Don't worry about that, because there might be a chance they say, your money's no good here, Frank.
Now, you say Frank the Tank because his alter ego when Lepers had too many cruises is Frank the Tank.
He doesn't mind. When he has the odd one here, Frank the Tank comes out. Of course, Old School, that great movie, the Will Ferrell. After a few beers, he turned into Frank the Tank. Yep. Well, that's Leper to a T. So we didn't see Frank the Tank, but geez, he was good company the other night. And then the final one.
Yes.
So as if that hadn't got the attention of all the waiters and all the customers in Centenove at that stage.
That's big.
The host of the Gold Logie, the host of the Logies walks in, Sam Payne, fashionably late. And did he turn to heads?
Dog, it stings that we never would have been remotely considered for this meeting of the minds.
Nah, and that's fair enough too, mate. You know, you've got a Mensa meeting. They can't have us there.
What happened?
As our good mate Vinny, Vinny booked, and he said we only got room for 6 because they're full. So Big Vinny was in charge. So we had a good night. We tipped a few in. Don't worry about that. A couple of Crown Lagers.
Did you finish with little short brown ones?
A few reds. No, we had these. We had this drink called a Verna. Have you ever had Verna before? I don't know what it is. Nah. It looks like drinking orange juice and Coke.
Beautiful.
But geez, they were nice.
Well,
problem is I had to drink Lepers as well because Lepers was driving. So I was 2 for 1. And then quickly, you know when you're sort of up and about and you quickly realise that, well, not quickly realise, but you know you got to work the next day.
Yeah.
And then you get past that point where you go, I'm bulletproof. Yeah. I'll be fine.
Which is a false economy.
It's a false economy, especially the next day. Don't you worry about that.
When you're doing what game?
Well, I was doing West Coast Richmond. So not a massive amount of investment.
There were more eyes on my VFL game yesterday.
Back to Bucks.
And that's the excuse. That's the sell. Yeah, don't worry about
Did
that.
Bucks bring up next Sunday?
Bucks brought up next Sunday. So I did question his preparation there. I thought, mate, you're a player that hasn't played 15 years. You've got a crook calf. And when he was ripping into some of those reds and he was knocking a few Verners back, I thought, geez, I'm not sure about his professionalism. This man known for his professionalism in his playing career. I'm not sure a Saturday evening getting on the gas a week out from your game. You've got to question his accountability at the Melbourne Garden Footy Club.
And he questioned the Rat Pack all through his coaching career. You know, the guys that used to get out and
Swanee.
get on the piss. Scotland.
Ben Johnson, Dale
BJ,
Thomas,
Dale Thomas, right?
Alan Didak.
And now he's part of a Rat Pack of himself.
Correct.
You know, drinking piss the night before a game, a 7-day break.
Is he going to play proper? Like, I heard he's got a dodgy calf.
Oh, well, you know, he's so determined, isn't he? And he puts his game face on. He wants to play well, and he wants to play midfield time as well.
Does he know we're taking a bus to see him?
He does. He does. Yeah. And
His
feels
partner
the pressure.
Brodie's invited on the bus.
No shit.
She's just got to work out whether Nathan wants her to drive him to the game, you know, for mental preparation.
Yeah.
She'd much prefer to be on the party bus, obviously, you know, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah, no, he's all excited. Don't worry about that. So let's hopefully he does get through and plays well, because it's going to be fantastic. You know, we're going to have him mic'd up. So I spoke to the crew at Fox Footy. We're sending 2 cameramen.
Jesus!
We're having him mic'd up out on the field. It's going to be all happening. We want to be able to go out there at the quarter time, 3/4 time huddle. Yeah. Hopefully we can toss the coin. We're going to be well and truly involved.
We'll do it. We'll have a bet, JB, over-unders. Darnham Footy Club spectators. How many?
Neil Madana.
How many Collingwood jumpers in the crowd? I'm setting the line at 100.5.
100.5 is you don't hear that often.
100.5
or 150.
Do you think
taking overs?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's good. If it's
be a
good
big
weather, I'm
turnout?
not sure what the long-range forecast says. I think it's going to be a big turnout. They've deliberately put it on a Sunday, so it's a stand. All country footy's on a Saturday.
They'll come from
Put
everywhere.
it on a standalone game.
Are you too ready for the amount of terrorising you're going to receive?
That'll be
both of
fine, mate. This is what I live for.
My people. My people.
They both said at the same time.
Jinx, there will not be a second where someone's not going, Browny.
No, it'd be great. I won't be able to have a vodka cruise with everyone, otherwise I'll be blind. I'll have 100. Hey, where did I see a photo of you and Lee Matthews? You posted that. Was that
at the MCG Saturday. So I called that game, Collingwood versus Fremantle, and Lee was calling. I called it for Fox Footy. Lee was calling for 3AW because he comes down to town for that. And I just, with great excitement, I went and got a coffee at half time, and there he was, the great man. Lethal walked in, and Mark Howard was there in the vicinity. I was calling the game.
Second best podcast on the internet. Howard Games, find out.
It is a great one.
He crushes it, doesn't he?
Been doing it for a long time now.
Have you ever done one with Howie?
No, I haven't.
No, never asked me either.
Maybe because we've worked for different companies.
Oh, you reckon?
Yeah. You're an SEN boy. I was Nova.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought he'd be that pedantic.
I think he's more listener, Triple M style.
I put the photo of you two on the internet and said, caption this.
Yeah.
And someone said, Brownie, can you stop quoting me? Brownie, I'm a bit over these impersonations.
What about Brownie? Why do you keep saying when I go to the toilets, I pull my pants all the way down to my ankles?
I bleeped that out. I just bleeped what you said out.
Oh yeah, I always love it when you catch up.
Give us one.
Great to see you, Brownie.
Yes.
You know, he just always starts with that. Yeah. He's an absolute beauty. So we had a bit of a chin wag. You'd love to sit there and spend more time with him, no doubt about it. But we got that photo. He's going well. He's semi-retired now.
Yeah.
So does he fly down from Queensland just to call a game?
Friday and then goes back Saturday night. He loves it.
How good's that?
He's still on the board of the Brisbane Lions.
Is he?
Yeah, absolutely. Did I tell you this? Have we done on the podcast when we talk about how humble he is, and he's a great fella, but he knows exactly his place in the game.
Right.
You know, one of the greatest coaches and
immortal,
and voted the greatest player of all time as well. In a match committee meeting when the boys get bored, and you're always trying to pick the last couple of players in the team. The boys get bored, so said, what's your biggest game? And they were in the selection meeting. They had Matty Armstrong there, who was a coach. Matty Armstrong, former Fitzroy North Melbourne player. What's your biggest game? Said, he had 45 one day. Gary O'Donnell, what was your biggest game? Goes, he had 46 one day. Then they got around. I think the other one was Magic McLean. Magic had 40 odd one day and kicked a couple. Eventually got around to Lee, and they said to Lee, what's your biggest game? He goes, well, I can't match that, boys. I can't anywhere near it. He goes, well, I only had 33 disposals. And they go, really? That's fucking shit house. They go, I'll kick 13, bud.
Really?
There you go.
13. Imagine that.
Oh, boy.
So no, it was great to see him, no doubt about that. But yeah, Saturday night was a great catch up. Sorry you couldn't come there, boys.
No, all good.
Our big mate Vinny, you know you're going well at the joint when he walked in with a magnum of a top end rag.
Jesus.
I said, mate, I didn't realise this joint was BYO. He said, it's not.
Jesus.
Mate, talk about a alpha move, and he just plonked it on the table.
Hey, quick, speaking of going out, Campbell, we're going to have a serious chat, my friend. Vaping is a blight on society. It's gross. We've both been struggling when we're out on the piss when the vapes are around. We made a pact that we would not buy them anymore.
I left my vapes in London.
Yeah. What happened on the weekend?
Had a 40th. It was a nice Argentinian steakhouse.
Where was the Argentinian steakhouse?
Palermo, just in the city.
I've never been there. I'd love to go.
Really nice. I think it's a sister company of St Elmo, which is also in the city.
Maybe we can do a Brownies podcast. We do our Christmas lunch.
Love that.
Potentially.
Really nice meat. I was walking from there up to another venue at about 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And I went past a vape shop and I stopped. I looked in.
No.
I walked to the counter.
No.
I said, is this venue stocking watermelon ice vapes?
No.
He said it sure is.
No.
I pulled out my credit card and I purchased one.
Oh, mate.
And I sucked in the beautiful smoke of the watermelon ice. And I took a selfie and I sent it to you, Dino. And late Friday night, it was at 11:40, and I said, I've succumbed.
Mate.
I've succumbed.
This photo is, you know how they light up at the bottom when you suck in that poison air?
The green highlighter.
Oh, what have you done?
What
have you done?
I want you vaping smoke rings for us next time I see you.
Why are you encouraging this?
With watermelon smoke rings.
We'll have to wait until I'm grand final day. I might waltz through an AFL function, pull it out, and just leave a trail of smoke. Because you don't have any commitments on AFL Grand Final Day, do you? VFL's got no... I don't think I'll be working. They did try and squeeze me into the broadcast somehow, but...
do you feel shame?
I actually feel complete.
Ads, back in a second.
This is Brownies Podcast!
Welcome back to Brownies Podcast. So the bus trip's coming up. We'll talk about that later, but... Grundy, what do you got? A lot of chat about Grundy in this room before we hit record today.
Well, we spoke about it on Friday. He got dropped, obviously, and it didn't help his cause that Max Gawn came out and played
one of the great games.
Not only the best game for the year, but one of the great games of his career.
I love that, man.
With one ruckman, he took responsibility, he took ownership, he was marking everything and kicking goals. So that hurts. There was no Casey VFL game, so he didn't actually get a chance to prove himself against opposition. But I'm hearing whispers, and they're strong whispers.
I love this one.
And they're reliable.
Yes. He gets on the phone.
Sleuthy.
Yeah, he does. He's a sleuth.
They're reliable.
He wants to be
whispers.
Caro.
He prides himself on his contacts.
I do.
Hey?
And when
I'd love to see your call register, your call logs. Every Monday he goes to work.
When I go with something, it's based around fact.
Oh, is that right? Unlike who? Caro?
Oh, all the journos. I'm hearing that Brodie Grundy could potentially be at a third club next year.
Oh, that's big.
That's big, mate.
Collingwood last year, first year at Melbourne this year. Things aren't quite working out. Big, long contract that Collingwood are paying Melbourne, and Melbourne and Collingwood might offer to pay someone else.
So you're not buying the message that Goody's trying to sell to us, that he's turning him into a forward in the space of 2 weeks?
Not buying it at all. Shit. He's a ruckman. He's a two-time All-Australian ruckman. He's not a forward's arsehole. So
that's eloquent.
You just reaching for a word. How can I? Forwards, arsehole.
JB, have you heard that? And secondly, there are some clubs out there that could be potential suitors.
Yeah, I think they'd be open to trading him. No doubt about that. You can't carry ruckman. He's on over 600 grand now. He's probably on more because I think Collingwood would be still paying a portion of his salary, but it wouldn't make sense to have Gawn and Grundy there, take up that slack if you don't think he's in the best team or you don't play your best football. Clearly, Maxi is better to the Melbourne Football Club when he's playing big minutes in the ruck. Grundy, as you said, hasn't shown over the journey at all that he's a forwards arsehole. So I reckon they'd absolutely be open to that.
So which clubs then?
Well, they'd be suitors. I think going back to his home state of Adelaide would be perfect. They've got Riley O'Brien at Adelaide Crows, but I think Port Adelaide screaming out for ruckman. Scotty Lycett getting towards the end of his career. I don't think wouldn't have had the impact that Grundy's had throughout his career. And what better place to go to than you're hitting it to Horn Francis, Butters,
Big
Rosie, young Willem Drew there as well. It's an all-star young midfield.
All right, devil's advocate. You guys are saying he will go great there. Why? Seems like he's not gelling at this club. Why would he not? Why would he gel at another club?
Well, because he would be playing exclusively as a ruckman, which is where he's played his whole career, and he likes to play big minutes in the ruck. Problem is, Max does as well.
And well.
You're usually going to side with your captain and your six-time All-Australian, and Max showed clearly that he's not petering out his career.
Oh, he's so good.
Like, that's as good a ruck performance as you'll see anywhere.
Dog, when you drop one of these bombs, like Caro's got Caro's arrow. What if we call it the dog bomb?
Why don't we call it the dog barks?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that's good. Can we have one of those?
Okay, but
do we need one of those every week?
We need a stinger.
The dog barks.
The dog barks.
That's good shit, mate.
Not every week because
only when they're necessary.
You feel pressure into producing something. That's what journos fall into. They need to do the arrow every week when there's potentially not an arrow to pull.
Correct.
In fairness to Caro,
she got it right.
Caro a swap. Yeah, she got it right.
Nah.
Yeah, she did. Gold Coast Suns one.
Okay, so can you just can you do the dog bark again and then say, and that's a dog
we
bark?
We can get that guy, they did the interview with him and they asked
from
about
a current
the dog.
affair.
Yeah, from a current affair.
Great idea, man.
Do that.
Great idea.
What the dog noise?
Yeah.
That's not him, but this guy was intense.
Hey, there was another thing that caught my eye over the weekend, and I'd love to get your opinion on this, JB. You did the game. It was West Coast Eagles, Richmond. It was late in the last quarter. I'm going to say 7 or 8 minutes to go. And the substitution had been made. Morris Rioli, who'd been quiet, 6 disposals and a point, got subbed off, which for a young guy, you're probably a little bit frustrated, but the game, you've won the game, and you get about to sing the club song. He was sitting on the bench, and the Fox Footy cameras went to him right at the wrong time for him. Great time for the viewers, because the big fella that sits on the boundary that communicates with the coach, I think it was Big Ivan Maric, leaned across, tapped Rioli and said, mate, the coach just wants to have a quick word with you. And he brushed him. He said, no, I'm not speaking to him.
Now,
would he have done that with Dimmer?
Definitely not. You could see he was frustrated, and I get it. We've all been there, but I've never had the
I've never
courage
been subbed out
to do that.
Oh no, we haven't all been.
Well,
there.
neither have I. But we've all been frustrated with our performance, but to not speak to the coach, and I think you said, oh, that's not the way that you're going to endear yourself to a new coach, especially even an interim.
Yeah.
How do you manage that? What do you do as a coach or a captain to a bloke that's shown that sort of level of dissent?
I think you sort of go and put the arm around him straight away. He would have been told about that. Andrew McQualter, obviously, would have learned about that pretty quick. And you go around and put the arm around him early, because a young player would be stressed and worried about his actions.
Do you also say, look, don't ever do that again, though?
Oh, no, not a young player like that. I think that's a man management thing. So clearly he would have been frustrated. He had 6 disposals. He would have been subbed out. Richmond are making a run for the flag.
They're making a run for the flag,
a run for the finals. And he wants to be part of that team. Yeah. So anytime he's been subbed out, you're thinking, selection-wise, that's going to impact me. So I think you put your arm around that. That's just a younger player. You probably put your arm around more so than, I'll go back to the footage of Kenny Sheldon back in 1988 when Craig Davenport did the same thing where he wouldn't take a phone call. Kenny Sheldon, who was coaching St Kilda at the time, got out of the coach's box and walked down and grabbed him by the scruff of the neck.
Good old school coaching.
That sounds like something Mal would do.
Yeah.
That feels like a Mal Brown move, to be honest.
Absolutely.
I've only ever been in an awkward moment once, I reckon. It was my first year at Hawthorn. Peter Schwab was the coach. Daniel Chick was our fearless, he chased and tackled and did all the team things. And one day he mustn't have done it up to Schwabby's sort of level. And he showed some vision of him not chasing, in front of the group. And we just had a loss.
He was pretty good at that, Chicky.
Great at it. And he played the vision in front of the group and then said, Chicky, what's going on here, mate? Didn't want to chase and put in any effort. And there was silence. And he's questioning a senior player. And I'm 18 at the time. And Chicky goes, can't catch them all, Swabby. And Swabby bit back with, hey, mate, don't speak to me like that. and Chicky went back at him, and she was on a bit.
What's everyone else doing?
Mate, terrifying. I'm sitting there going, oh, my God. Like, you can't say that.
Was a part of you delighted? Honestly. Like,
it's amazing when moments like that happen.
I know.
The rare time, and you just sit there, and it's just, you would not hear
a pin drop.
You wouldn't hear a mouse fart.
Yeah,
It's unbelievable. The player's just on edge because you are privately, you go, this is great. I'm glad I'm not.
I live for moments like that with tension and anger and potential, violence about to evolve. I live for it. So I'm thinking, oh my God, he didn't just backchat the senior coach in a team meeting. I'm sure there's been plenty of examples of that happening.
Do you remember when Glenn Archer, when he received a phone call, he gave away a 50-metre penalty once on a Friday night at the MCG. Pagan dragged him, and then the phone was waiting. The runners handed him the phone, and then Archer's gone fucking ballistic and gave Pagan a spray.
He'd be the only one that could get away with that.
He went and then smashed the phone against the bench.
Oh, man.
How good, because that way there's no right to reply for Pagan.
That's right.
The line's gone dead.
Mate, he went bananas.
Go on the attack.
Yeah, we're going to try and show it on the couch tonight. It was one of the best bits of vision I've seen as a kid growing up.
All right, real quick on Morris, right?
Yeah.
Is there a chance, Campbell? Now, hear me out. Before he said no to the phone, he looked sad and he was looking at the game and someone gave him a "you'll be all right, mate" tap on the knee in front of him. And he didn't really acknowledge that guy because he was a bit upset. But at the same time, he got the tap on the shoulder from the phone. Is there a chance that Morris thought that was just someone going, "Mate, you'll be all right"?
No, because he looked and he did the hand signal like,
Did
brush,
he?
I'm not speaking.
Shit.
Yeah. It was ballsy from the young man. I liked it. I wouldn't like to be copping the spray from the coach.
At least he was subbed out, though. I remember when Jared Brennan once got taken off the ground. This is halfway through the third quarter at Geelong. No sub rules back in those days. He sat down and took his boots and socks off.
Quick.
That was it.
Tapped them together, get the mud off.
Lethal going, you tell Jared Brennan put those boots back on.
Hey, we're running long. Quick, what a world.
Okay.
Damn right, we've got what a world. The pathetically woke world we live in and the hypocrisy of Hollywood. It never ceases to amaze me.
Here we go.
Because overnight, Disney, the great Walt Disney, they decided that the Snow White.
Yeah.
He's dead, Walt Disney.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Head's frozen.
He'd be turning in his grave at what his company is
Here we
turned
go.
to. The great Snow White.
I love
What's
Snow
Snow White?
She's
And the Seven Dwarfs.
Dwarfs, yeah.
Of course.
I've seen the adult version, let me tell you.
Well, Snow White isn't the Seven Dwarfs anymore because they're getting replaced. They're replacing the Seven Dwarfs with magical creatures of all size and gender because they want to promote inclusivity and they believe that the dwarf community are getting unfairly victimised by this. Now, that is absolute garbage.
Well, they've been unfairly victimised since the St Kilda Mad Monday.
Exactly, but what a world we're living in.
How does this affect you? Who gives a
It just pisses me off and it pisses everyone
What's
off.
it going to be called? What's the new title? So it's not Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs anymore.
No, it is just Snow White and the magical creatures of all sizes and genders.
That's too long.
That's not what it's called.
That's what it's called.
Bullshit.
Mate, I'm telling you.
Well, that's too long.
Excellent.
What a world.
What a world. Hey, we're going to talk about a full bus episode ahead of the bus trip on Friday.
Yeah.
Plus, as we said, that round this coming weekend is going to be insane. All right, see you later.
See you later, degenerates.